There is a man you have probably seen before. Maybe at a party, maybe at work, maybe somewhere you could not quite place. He does not talk the most. He does not try the hardest. He does not walk in announcing himself or filling every silence with noise. But something about him pulls your attention. You find yourself watching him, wondering about him, thinking about him later when you are home and the night is over and you cannot explain why. That man is not lucky. He is not just naturally charismatic. He has, whether consciously or not, mastered something that most men will spend their entire lives completely unaware of. He has learned how to occupy space in someone's mind without ever demanding to be there. And that is exactly what this video is about. Because here is the truth that nobody tells men about attraction. Women do not fall for the men who pursue the hardest. They do not fall for the men who say the most or text the most or make themselves the most available. They fall for the men they cannot stop thinking about. And thinking is something that happens in her head, not in your mouth. You cannot talk your way into her thoughts. You cannot chase your way there. You cannot beg or perform or over-explain your way into becoming someone she cannot get off her mind. You get there through presence, through behavior, through the quiet, consistent, almost invisible signals that bypass her conscious mind entirely and go straight to something deeper, something instinctive. Today I am going to break down exactly how to do that. Not tricks, not manipulation, not games, just a deep understanding of how attraction actually works and how to embody the kind of presence that makes you impossible to forget. Let's get into it. Lesson 1. Master the art of controlled presence. Most men make the same mistake when they are interested in a woman. They give her everything immediately. All of their attention, all of their time, all of their energy, all of their thoughts. They are always available, always responsive, always right there the moment she looks in their direction. And it feels right because the intention behind it is genuine. You like her. You want her to know you are interested. You want to show up. But what this actually communicates at a subconscious level is that you have nothing else going on, that she is the most important thing in your world. And while that might sound romantic, it is devastating to attraction. Attraction requires tension. It requires the space between presence and absence. It requires her to wonder. And you cannot make someone wonder about something they already have complete access to. Controlled presence means you are fully there when you are there. Engaged, attentive, genuinely interested. But you are not always there. You have a life. You have direction. You have things that matter to you that have nothing to do with her. And when you leave completely. No constant check-ins. No good morning texts. No filling the silence just to make sure she has not forgotten you exist. The man who is always present becomes wallpaper. The man who is sometimes present becomes a question she cannot stop asking herself. Lesson 2. Let your actions write the story she tells herself about you. Here is something most men fundamentally misunderstand about how women think. Women are not primarily logical processors when it comes to attraction. They are storytellers. When a woman is interested in someone, her mind builds a narrative about who that person is. She fills in gaps with imagination. She projects qualities onto mystery. She creates a version of you in her head that is built from the fragments you give her. This means that what you do not say is often more powerful than what you do say. What you do not explain forces her to explain it for herself. And the story she tells herself about you will almost always be more compelling than the one you would tell about yourself. So instead of telling her you are ambitious, let her see you working towards something without making it a topic of conversation. Instead of telling her you are desired by other women, let her notice it naturally. Instead of explaining your values, demonstrate them through decisions she witnesses. Instead of saying you are different, be different in ways she has to sit with afterward and figure out. Every time you resist the urge to over-explain yourself, you hand her imagination something to work with. And her imagination, if you play this correctly, will do more work on your behalf than anything you could ever say out loud. Lesson 3. Become genuinely difficult to read. Predictability is the death of desire. When a woman can map your every move, anticipate your every response, and predict with accuracy how you will behave in every situation, she stops thinking about you. There is nothing to figure out, nothing to wonder about. The mystery is gone, and with it goes the mental energy she was spending on you. The men women cannot stop thinking about are the men they cannot fully figure out. Not because they are playing games or being deliberately confusing, but because they are genuinely complex, genuinely self-contained, and genuinely unpredictable in the most natural way possible, because their behavior comes from an internal compass rather than a reaction to whoever is in front of them. This means your mood is not determined by how she treats you that day. If she is cold, you do not become anxious and overcompensating. If she is warm, you do not immediately escalate and give everything away. You remain essentially the same person regardless of what she does, because your emotional state is not something she controls. It is something you control. That steadiness, that refusal to be emotionally moved around like a chess piece, is one of the most quietly powerful things a man can embody. It makes her work harder to understand you. And the harder she works to understand you, the more mental real estate you occupy. Lesson 4. Use silence like a weapon. Most men are terrified of silence. They treat it as a void that needs to be filled. Every pause in conversation becomes an emergency. Every moment without a text becomes a reason to send another one. Every silence feels like distance, and distance feels like losing her, so they fill it, constantly, with noise. But silence is not distance. Silence is weight. Silence is the thing that makes everything you do say land harder. It is the pause before the note that makes the note mean something. And men who have mastered the use of silence carry a presence that men who talk constantly will never understand. In conversation, do not rush to fill every pause. Let things breathe. Let her sit in the quiet with you. Let there be moments where nothing is being said and you are completely comfortable with that, because comfort with silence communicates something she will feel in her bones. It says, I am not here to perform for you. I am not anxious about your approval. I am simply here, and that is enough. In communication, do not respond to everything instantly. Not as a game, not to make her wait deliberately, but because you have a life and your life does not pause every time your phone lights up. The man who always responds in 30 seconds tells her exactly where she sits in his priorities. The man who sometimes takes hours, not because he is ignoring her, but because he was genuinely doing something else, tells her something entirely different. Silence makes space, and space is where longing grows. Lesson 5. Be the man who notices everything and reacts to nothing. There is a specific quality that women find deeply compelling in men, and it is almost never discussed. It is the combination of extreme awareness with extreme composure. The man who clearly sees everything happening around him, who notices the details, who reads the room, who catches what others miss, but who responds to almost none of it with visible reaction. He notices when she changes her hair, but mentions it casually days later rather than immediately. He observes the tension in a social situation, but does not insert himself into it. He hears the subtext beneath what people say, but does not react to it in real time. He is watching and processing constantly, but his surface remains still. This quality communicates something primal and deeply attractive. It communicates that this man is not controlled by his environment. He is not a leaf blown around by whatever is happening. He is a fixed point. And women are drawn to fixed points because the world is chaotic, and a man who cannot be rattled feels like safety and danger and strength all at once. Practice this. Notice more. React less. Let what you observe inform how you move rather than what you say. Become a man who is clearly paying attention but rarely needs to announce it. Lesson 6. Live a life that has nothing to prove. This is the one that underlies everything else on this list, and it cannot be faked. It can only be built. The most magnetic men are not magnetic because they learn techniques. They are magnetic because they are genuinely, deeply, uncomplicatedly okay without her. They have a life that fills them, a purpose that drives them, relationships, interests, ambitions, and a sense of self that does not require her validation to feel intact. When a man has this, when he is truly living rather than waiting for someone to make his life feel complete, it radiates outward in a way that cannot be manufactured. His walk is different. His attention is different. The way he listens is different because he is listening out of genuine interest rather than strategic positioning. The way he leaves is different because leaving is easy when you have somewhere worth going. And here is what this does to a woman's psychology. When she senses that you do not need her, not in a cold or disconnected way, but in the way of a man who is simply already whole, something shifts. The dynamic reverses. Suddenly she is the one wondering if she is interesting enough. She is the one hoping she made an impression. She is the one thinking about you on the drive home. You cannot manufacture this. You cannot pretend it. She will see through the performance within minutes. The only way to have this quality is to actually build a life worth living and then let her see you living it. Everything else in this video is a refinement of this one truth. The silence, the presence, the unpredictability, the composure, they all ring hollow in a man who is secretly just waiting to be chosen. But in a man who has genuinely built himself into someone worth choosing, every single one of them becomes amplified beyond measure. Lesson 7. Make every interaction feel like it mattered. Here is the final piece, and in some ways the most important one, because it is the one that makes everything else stick. You can be mysterious. You can be composed. You can be present and then absent and then present again. But if the time she spends with you does not feel like anything, if she walks away from your interactions feeling neutral, uninspired, unchanged, none of the rest of it matters. She will think about a man who made her feel something. Not necessarily something dramatic. Not necessarily something she can even name. But something. This means when you are with her, you are completely with her. Your phone is not more interesting than she is. The room is not more interesting than she is. You are not planning what to say next while she is talking. You are actually listening, actually thinking about what she said, actually responding to her specifically, and not just performing conversation in her general direction. Ask the question nobody else thought to ask. Notice the thing she mentioned once 3 conversations ago, and bring it up now. Disagree with her when you actually disagree, instead of reshaping your opinions to match hers. Be honest when honesty is harder than agreement. Have a perspective and hold it. The man who makes every interaction feel like it cost him something, like he was actually there, actually present, actually affected, is the man she replays in her head on the way home. Not because he said anything remarkable necessarily, but because being around him felt like something real in a world full of people just going through the motions. And real is the rarest thing of all. Here is what I want you to take from this. The goal is never to manipulate someone into thinking about you. The goal is to become someone genuinely worth thinking about. Every principle in this video points back to the same thing. A man who has built himself, who knows himself, who does not need external validation to feel whole, and who shows up in the world with quiet, unshakable confidence in who he is. That man does not need to chase. He does not need to perform. He does not need to say the right things or send the right texts or play the right games. He simply needs to be exactly who he is, fully, consistently, without apology, and let the right people be drawn in by that. Build that man, become that man, and watch how differently the world responds to you. If this video gave you something real, please subscribe. There is more content coming that I think will genuinely change how you see yourself and how you move through the world. And if you want to go deeper right now, watch this video next.